second part, which is verbal strategy. And somebody had asked me that I'm a repeater and I'm very, very bad at my VRC. So one thing I'll tell: February, March, April, this is the last time when I'll actually be able to say this, which is develop a reading habit. Because after April, if you're joining or starting a preparation in May, it might be too late to actually develop a reading habit. But if you're starting in February, you still have time to actually develop a reading habit. So if you guys are starting today and you want to really improve in VRC, and not just improve in VRC, basically get the same level of confidence of like reading, of answering questions, of speaking in English, I would say that start develop a reading habit. What do I mean by develop a reading habit? I don't want you to go and read like fiction books. I don't want you to go and read random books as such. I want you to read books which are on history, which are non-fiction. And if that is too tedious to read, I would say read a lot of magazines. Read The Economist. Half of, I think, this year's RCs, CAT 2024 RCs, came from The Economist. That one magazine, so many RCs came. So I would say that if you can buy the subscription of The Economist, very good. If you can't buy, borrow it from somebody who has it. If you're part of any university, many times the college library would have access to it. If you're part of any library, generally they get The Economist magazine, so read from it. Every single one of you, I request all of you to develop the reading habit, to read from one magazine, from one source extensively. You should have the habit of reading and writing the main point. This is called active reading. I often say that do that because it is very effective. But you should first develop a reading habit. What should you read? As I mentioned, The Economist. It is very, very important to read The Economist regularly. Read from the Scientific American. It's a scientific magazine. So for a lot of RCs which are based on science, either like natural sciences, geography, biology, they often take from these scientific magazines, which would be a good source to read from. Read from different sources for different types of RCs. So if you want persuasive RCs, you need to read the opinion columns of good newspapers. If you need analytical RCs, you need to read from The Economist. If you need informative RCs, you can read The New Yorker, you can read The Economist, you can read any magazine that you can actually get your hands on. If you need scientific RCs, you have many scientific magazines that you can look at. If you want philosophical RCs, read from the Gutenberg Press. It has the RCs, it has the like works of most of the philosophers. So these are very good sources of reading. The more you read from sociology, philosophy, psychology, art history, geography, all of these things, there are two things that will happen. Firstly, your base knowledge of many things will improve. So for me to understand an economics based RC, if I have some idea of economics, if I have some idea of supply demand, it becomes easier for me to read. It is not necessary for me to actually read a economics based RC, but if I understand basic economic concepts, it becomes much easier for me to read. So I would always say that the more you read, the wider you read, the easier every RC becomes. The second thing is that these will develop your comprehension skills. That is why reading habit is super important. Comprehension skills basically means that you can understand verbal information. If a paragraph is given to you, it doesn't fly over your head. You understand what is the author trying to say. It is not the details, it is not the grammar, it is not the vocabulary. You understand the argument, you understand the emotions, the logic of the author. If you are able to understand that, that is comprehension skills. So reading widely will help get base knowledge as well as comprehension skills. These two things are enough to crack every question that comes in VRC. Reading comprehension is directly based on base knowledge plus comprehension skills. But if you're good at reading comprehension, you'll also be good at para summary. If you understand paragraphs, how to actually get the gist of paragraphs, ordering paragraphs becomes easier, so you'll get better at both OOC parajumbles and Theta parajumbles. And para insertion will also make more sense if you are able to understand the gist of the paragraph. If every sentence becomes clearer, understanding the chain of thought becomes easier, and then finding the right place for the sentence also becomes easier. So what should you focus on? Somebody was asking that I know that my VRC is bad. What should you actually focus on? Focus on just this: develop a reading habit. Every month you should read that month's Economist. Every month you should read at least 5 different passages, 5 different articles from Scientific American, different sources. There's Aeon essays. So read every single day. You should read. One more thing I'll tell you, I'll ask the CAT preparation channel also to post over here. is that we collect a lot of good articles. Any article that we come across which is an interesting article, we collect it and we put it up in our daily articles as such. So if you don't know where to go and read or what to read, the least thing that you can do is go and read from our archive of articles. There is a lot of articles that we have found interesting that you can always read from, and they are very good reading materials because they are exactly the type of passages that come in CAT. So read every single day, at least 15 minutes of reading. That is what is needed. Okay. Is 15 minutes daily enough? Yes, 15 minutes, but regularly you should read one type, and different types of RCs you should read, different types of passages you should read. If you read only one thing again and again, it will not add much value. If you read different types of things, it will add more value. Okay. Aeon has amazing philosophical RCs. Yes, it has philosophical RCs, it has RCs on anthropology, art history, culture. It has many of those RCs, and so many times those are the topics that actually come in CAT. So you will get very good base knowledge just from reading Aeon essays. Okay, so read from that religiously.